25K, Rick. Are you being serious? 25K. That's not a boycott. That's a man, woman, girl, and boycott. Lord have mercy. The PBC fan base will tell you there's more money in an Andy Ruiz fight than a HRGOVIC fight. The HRGOVIC fight gets you a straight title shot, doesn't it? Might take a little time after all the dust settles with the mandatories and rematches. I'm not going to bullshit nobody there. But this really isn't sustainable. 25K, I don't want to laugh. But how can you put these fights pay-per-view? What's Keith Thurman and Barrios going to do? 5K? It done more than 25K. It has to have done. And they reduce it to $40 as well. You see, I know the fuel prices have gone up across there, just like they have over here. I know you're probably having problems with your fuel bills, just like we are here. Everything's going up. Everything. Yeah. Let's not front here. Let's act like adults who are thinking long term about our families and what the future holds. Forget all the boiling talk that we can throw money about. This is not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. The public have spoken. American pay-per-view has to go back old school, where only Tyson and Holyfield, Tyson, Lennox Lewis, Holyfield, Lewis, Oscar versus Floyd, where only the top guys and the top matches get the privilege of being pay-per-view. All these fight websites, and they had some website trying to promote Ortiz and Martin in the UK. I wonder how much they sold there. Probably not even 200 buys, if we're being honest. Long term, you know, it's got to go back to the old school. It has to go back to the old school where one promoter is not trying to control one section of fighters who are signed to his promotional outlet under one network. It's got to go. It's got to go. Got to go back to the cross-promotional situation. And the thing is, they could easily do it on a rota. Like, why don't you give Eddie, Tank, and Devin, give Eddie that one, and then Eddie, he'll give you Andrade and CHARLO. But nah, it's too selfish. You know what I mean? Like, what other options do you have? To all you guys who are pro-PBC, are you going to defend this? And if so, what for? What is the point, really? Is there any cut-off point in your debate where, as a man, you man up and say, you know something, I can't defend this no more. This side of the street shit, we've gone as far as we're going to go with it. And we've hit a wall. And then you're going to push Ortiz in a fight with Andy Ruiz. But what for? Like, what are you going to try and sell it as another eliminator? See, all that false advertising, that didn't work either. It didn't work. Because people are hip to the game. So Ortiz versus Ruiz. What does that lead to? Does that lead to any of them challenging for a world title? Or taking on any significant opposition? How much pay-per-views is that going to do? You see, here's the thing, man. Like, you need to mix it up, man. You need to mix it up. You need to mix up the fighters. I'm sick of people talking about, oh, it's a low ball. It's a low ball. This HRGOVIC fight. Didn't Frank Warren recently offer to pay David Avanesian's purse and told Eddie, yo, don't worry about paying David. We've got David's purse here. You just sort Conor out and the fight can be on your network. And didn't Eddie say the same thing to Frank about Daniel Dubois and Martin Bacoli when Bacoli was signed to Matchroom? He said, yo, don't worry about it. You can pay him what you want. You pay Bacoli what you see fit. We've got him covered. If you want to pitch him in with Daniel, we got him covered. And we can do it on your network. There's no excuse. If you believe in your fighter, you can back your fighter. Don't be talking about purses are too low and the offers are too low. No excuse. And look, forget all the no games. Look at Luis Ortiz. Look at Al Heyman. I'm not into that. It's actually quite frustrating. I mean, what's the exercise? You charged $40. You charged America $40 for a pay-per-view that they didn't really want. It would have been a great event on regular Fox without the paywall. It would have been a great fight. But you charged them $40. What's the PR exercise? Maybe Rick is fudging the numbers a little. Maybe it done 40. Maybe. If you're lucky. Someone's going to come out and say, oh, it did more than that, Rick. Prove it. Get Fox to show the actual numbers and prove it. If that's the case. You put a pay-per-view on that there was no demand for $40. It does 25,000 buys. Then Ortiz wins the fight, pulls out of an IBF eliminator with a direct world title shot if he wins. For the whole boxing world to be calling him a ducker, fake boogeyman, fake boogeyman. And you believe you can sell fake boogeyman in a fight with Andy Ruiz? Don't even try it. Why would anybody be doing this? America has had the most successful professional boxers ever. The biggest boxing events ever. The biggest pay-per-view stars. And now you're trying to sell pay-per-views, and look what we're seeing, we're witnessing. The greatest business move done in American boxing recently was HBO getting the fuck out of the game. There is talk of Canelo fighting Jamal Charlo. Charlo moving up to 168. Question is, how much money does Canelo want? You gonna throw him another bag like that for 40 mil? I mean, Charlo's gonna want a significant cut out of that, isn't he? I mean, if you're gonna give Canelo 40, you probably want 10 like Caleb. I don't think he's gonna do any more pay-per-view buys than what Caleb and Canelo did either. I do like the fight though. I do like the fight. If they can pull it off. See, the thing is though, like, the logistics for Al are similar to the Caleb Plant fight. Like, unless he's got serious belief in Charlo that he can bring it back, risking a really big bag there. A really big bag. Because I don't think Charlo can beat Canelo. I don't think he can. Best thing to do would be let Charlo cross the side of the street onto the zone. Let them pick up the slack, pick up the costs and all that. And if you can get the W, unless Canelo puts a rematch clause on him, he comes back to the PBC a star. And then maybe you can pick up the pay-per-view from there. I don't know. I don't think Al's using that kind of logic though. Michael Benson, sources. According to Oscar De La Hoya, Isaac Cruz and his team have turned down a very lucrative offer for him to fight Ryan Garcia next. I wonder why he turned that down. Maybe he thought they were playing, that it wasn't a serious offer. I mean, Ryan's not exactly a serious boxer, is he? So maybe he thought it was a joke. Maybe Oscar sounded like he was out of his head when he spoke to Cruz's people and they didn't think he was serious either. Sean Gibbons, who represents Isaac Cruz, he came back and said, Oscar, are you trying to impress Ryan so much pretending you're doing something for him when you're not? Because, you know, Ryan's been out of the ring for a long time. You're going to push him in there with Isaac Cruz, who gave Tank that tough fight? Nah, this is clout chasing. Sean said, if you're serious about wanting this fight next, we are prepared to make you an offer with a purse you deserve. Please tell us whom we should direct the offer. So, after that, we should hear from Sean Gibbons. Yo, they responded. We should hear something. Why aren't we hearing nothing? It's all air. You see, when these people, these promoters, are all online talking about we made this offer. No, if you were serious about making the fight, that's the last thing you do. This is just all propaganda driven. Look what fight we tried to make and look what fight they turned down, trying to make yourself look like Ryan is this guy who never turns down smoke, when we know that's not true. We know that's not true. Mike Coppinger, sources. The Virgil Ortiz Michael Mickinson bout is set for March the 19th. Full story coming soon. You know, this is a cherry pick. They cherry picked Mickinson, you know, because he doesn't have a big KO streak or anything like that. He's unbeaten, away from home. Ortiz is the knockout puncher with all the upside. Mickinson will be a considerable underdog going in. Is there any way he can overturn the odds? It'd be great if he could, man. That'd be great. That'd be just like, wow. Many people are tagging this fight as southpaw practice for Virgil Ortiz for what Golden Boy will be hoping the inevitability that he squares off against Crawford or Spence. But then again, we might call for him to fight Boots. And Boots can fight both stances, just like Bird. That bout takes place in Texas. Then Jaime Munguia, on the 19th of February, he takes on Demetrius Ballard. Never heard of him. He's 21-0, 1 draw, 13 stoppages. No recognizable names on his ledger. Got respectable reach at 74, 6 foot, 28 years of age. Never heard of him. That doesn't necessarily mean he can't fight, but is he going to be one of them dark horses or one of them guys with a padded record? Adam Abramowitz said he didn't understand this match here. And, you know, I don't get it, you know. Yeah, you got Demetrius, but maybe the wrong one. We were looking for more Demetrius Andrade. Take your mandatory shot, for crying out loud. The bout takes place in Temple Hills, Maryland. Interesting location. Daniel Jacobs' John Ryder card to take place on February the 12th at Alexandra Palace in London. Now, the boxing scene is saying it's a venue famous for hosting the PDC World Darts Championships each year. It also hosts the Haringey Cup, which is an amateur boxing tournament, and it's also the place where the first television broadcast was staged. I believe in 1925, John Logie Baird did another demonstration before this, but, you know, nobody had TVs in their homes, and I think most people who would have received whatever they were transmitting would have been via radio or what some people used to call wireless. They used a BBC transmitter, but the one in Alexandra Palace actually launched BBC television. You know what I mean? So North London, the building, mate. Alexandra Palace, Junior Witter versus DeMarcus Corley. That's where Junior won his title. It was actually quite a popular venue in the 80s. I think Frank Warren used it quite a lot. I don't remember no professional cards at Ali Pally since Junior Witter won his title there against DeMarcus Corley. On DAZN, upcoming, we got Vargas versus Liam Smith, 5th of February. Jacob versus Ryder, the 12th. 27th of February, Akoli versus Selak. A lot of people are saying Selak is actually pretty good. 5th of March, Estrada versus Gonzalez. 12th of March, Wood versus Conlon. 19th of March, ORTIZ versus Nicholson. And on the 26th, we got Martinez versus Warrington. I heard the usual anti-DAZN pro PVCs critiquing the schedule, saying that Khan and Brook is more popular over America, but how many people are going to pay for it, though, is the question. The whole schedule I read out there is subscription-based, no pay-per-view, so...
You on that shit.
The Sun newspaper, they're reporting that Dillon will accept the 80-20 split for the Tyson Fury fight if his court case against the WBC does not get his end of the split increased. But I've heard on good authority that this news here is not necessarily true. Dillon is the interim champion, so he's fighting for a 45% split, which, according to the WBC rules, he should get at their discretion. The arbitration continues, so that's delayed the purse bid. It was supposed to be this Tuesday on the 11th. It's now pushed back to the 18th. If Eddie does get an opportunity to win the purse bid, how much more is he going to pay Dillon than the 20% is the question. And how much does he want to pay Tyson Fury? Because I want Dillon to win, but Tyson goes in as a huge favourite. And how much of a gamble are DAZN and Eddie prepared to take? I'm talking gamble with their money. So they're talking about an April date for Usyk versus Joshua. And they're talking about an outdoor arena. Joshua should have a new trainer in his corner. Joshua is currently in holiday in Dubai. He was seen doing a little work with Floyd Mayweather. Eddie wants it in the UK. I don't know if Usyk's team have different plans. Eddie says that Anthony Joshua is taking a huge risk by changing trainers just 12 weeks before an Alexander Usyk fight. There's a few ways to look at it. Can he do any worse than what he did last time out? I think there's improvements he will make regardless. I don't think the new trainer will be looking to make that many changes. He'll probably observe a few things that need tightening up and modifying, and they'll go from there. But he's already fought Usyk, so he's got the tape of what he did wrong and what he did good and what he could do better. And likewise, Usyk has that as well. So neither man is going into foreign territory exactly. I think I relied too much on receipts rather than just saying what I've got to say, because a lot of people disbelieve what you say. So I was trying to find a transcript where AJ said he wanted to look spectacular in the first Ruiz fight because of how spectacular Wilder looked a couple of weeks back previously against Dominic Brazil. This was in 2019. Wilder knocked him out in one. He took AJ 7 rounds to get rid of Brazil in 2016. But anyway, I can't find the transcript. But the point I'm trying to make is this headline I'm seeing on BBC Sport. Anthony Joshua tried to outbox Alexander Usyk to prove he's not just some big stiff bodybuilder, as Tyson Fury often labels him. So Joshua is basically saying he tried to outbox Usyk to prove Fury wrong. it really got to him what Fury was saying. So I said, cool, let me practice my boxing. I tried practicing my boxing with Usyk. He won 9, I won 3. Next fight, I win 4 more rounds, I win. So let me simplify that matter, and I'll then get on the road to being undisputed champion. Now, if Tyson Fury was labeling AJ a big stiff robot, what does that have to do with his strategy for the Usyk fight? You strategize for each individual fight. You don't try and prove Tyson Fury wrong. That's crazy. And if Wilder looked spectacular against dominant Brazil, and that influenced AJ to trade longer than maybe he should have against Ruiz and get clipped, that means he's easily distracted. I'm telling you now, you see this Robert McCracken blaming thing? It's so inaccurate. I don't think people understand how inaccurate this observation is. I'm actually believing that AJ believes it's Robert McCracken's fault now after he's heard so many people say it from Lennox Lewis. And I don't care how many times Lennox Lewis has been champion. I don't care who says it. I really don't care. I really don't care. These are my thoughts. If AJ's easily distracted, how much of that can you really blame on Rob McCracken? Can't find a transcript again, but when Luis Ortiz had Wilder hurt in their first fight, he said he was thinking about the AJ fight. He thought he had the fight in the bag and he let it slip. Is that bullshit? Is what AJ's saying bullshit? R.I.P. to Aresa Kayan. I don't know anything about him, but he fought on the 26th of December last year against Igor Semerin, who was 3-0 going into the fight. So Kayan was 6-2-0 going into the fight. He was rushed to hospital after being knocked out in Russia, and he's passed away. He suffered a swelling on his brain and was forced to undergo surgery. 10 days in a coma, and he passed away. Dangerous sport, as we know. Edgar Berlanga returns to the ring after having surgery on some torn biceps, which he picked up in a subpar performance, as they're saying here in boxing scene, against Marcelo Coceres. So he'll be back in March against former Golovkin victim Steve Rolls. Wouldn't be surprised if Steve Rolls gave him a few issues, actually. Not totally sold on Edgar. And that's before the Coceres fight where he was down, but got back up to win. So, he's got something there, got heart. Rolls has came back with a few wins since the Golovkin defeat, not to anyone worth talking about looking at the records, but, they have to match Edgar a little easy right now while they're developing him. I never believed Callum Johnson actually deserved the title fight with Joe Smith Jr. And according to Frank Warren, he's contracted COVID and he's out of the fight. That was scheduled for the 15th in New York. An unlikely contender, Steve Geffard, as they're saying here, will replace Callum Johnson. Geffard said this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Never heard of him. He's 18-2, 12 KOs, 31 years of age, from Miami, Florida. So the show goes on. Frank Warren's talking about they might reschedule, or they might be looking to reschedule the Smith-Johnson fight, but they're saying here Anthony Yarde is the mandatory challenger, and he's going to want his shot, and I'm sure Frank isn't going to deter Anthony from going for it. He's coming off his career-defining win over Lyndon Arthur. Frank was also talking about a big showdown if Yarde was to win it between him and Callum Johnson. Big up ZHANG for talking like a heavyweight. He says, HRGOVIC is no boogeyman. If my name comes up, I'll step up. I'll take it. He's looking for the big fights now. He's 23-0, 1 draw against Jerry Forrest. He knocked out Craig Lewis recently. Now he's saying that HRGOVIC is no boogeyman. He's saying that because recently Luis Ortiz and Joseph Parker both turned down an opportunity to fight the Eliminator against HRGOVIC. ZHANG said, I don't understand why top heavyweights are turning this down. HRGOVIC is no boogeyman. I've made it known that if my name comes up, I'll step up, I'll take it. He's 38, so he can't afford to hang around, I guess. He said it himself, I'm not getting no younger. He's told his promoter that I want to make a big move. He wants to take on the likes of Parker, Chisora. He's on Matchroom himself, so he's open. He's open to all these possibilities. He said he needs fights that will put him on a path. He said he'll fight anyone. I've recently seen people ridicule the whole idea of him being a contender after the Jerry Forrest performance, but we saw Jerry Forrest perform very well against Michael Hunter, and you can ridicule all you like. I don't ridicule the fighters that are willing to step up and fight. I don't ridicule them. You know, if you don't have that great star quality or ability, that's just how that goes. But at least he's willing to give it a go. Frazer Clarke, Olympic bronze medalist, just signed with Anthony Joshua's 258 management. He signed his pro contract with boxer XX Ben Shalom. At age 30, they're looking at fast-tracking Frazer. They want to emulate what Joe Joyce has done. Okay, so Joe Joyce has been a pro for 5 years. Actually, it's 4 years. I think they're using Joe as a barometer because they're a similar age when they turn pro. Joe was fast-tracked because he was around 32. So they're talking about fast-tracking because of age. Okay, that makes sense. Well, they gave Joe Ian Lewison in his first fight, which was a stiff debut by any standards. If they can control them cuts, because he bled out against Jalilov. If they can control the cuts, his boxing style will be very favorable and crowd friendly, because he had Jalilov on that back foot like, yo, I don't really want to war with Frazer like that. And, you know, Jalilov boxed well. He boxed well. But Frazer looks very aggressive. Let's see how robust he is. And if them cuts hold up like they'll need to, I could see him becoming a pay-per-view attraction. I definitely could. He's not budging from that Great Britain amateur Sheffield base where Robert McCracken is. He's staying there. That's where AJ has been for the majority of his career, amateur and pro. So with Robert McCracken and AJ splitting, a lot of people are going to be like, well, why is he going to turn pro with Rob training him? But Frazer said he didn't believe that Anthony Joshua needed to leave Rob McCracken to make the adjustments to beat Usyk. That's where he's comfortable, so that's where he's going to stay, at least for now. People are stupid, and I don't know, maybe they're playing up to the people who might view their posts. Maybe so, but why are you going to hold a poll on who would win a sparring session out of Claressa Shields and Jake Paul? It was kind of like, you know, who would win out of Ronda Rousey and Floyd Mayweather. Even in MMA, Rousey would struggle to beat Mayweather because his hand skills would probably compensate for what he doesn't know in ground and pound against a woman who's not that big, not that powerful. Jake might not be fighting boxers, but you can see he's flattening people. He's knocking people out. How many women do you think can take a full-blooded right hand from Jake Paul? How many? Jake is an athlete. He's a wrestler. He boxes now. He's a lot bigger than Claressa. When's the last time you see Claressa put a female boxer on the canvas? Because I can't remember it. Now, Claressa has criticised Jake Paul, believing that he's taking opportunities from real boxers. So they went back and forth. Claressa's offered him to spar. But it looks like the real reason has been exposed why Claressa doesn't like Jake. Looks like Demetrius Alita and her manager, Mark Taffet, have made attempts to fight on Jake Paul cards. And Jake Paul's advisor has leaked the information, the emails. Claressa has denied all knowledge of the emails being sent and said she wouldn't fight on a Jake Paul card no matter how much they were paying her. Everything has to go through me. She doesn't care about the money. This is problematic for Claressa, isn't it? She just doesn't know when the cutoff point is. Cards like Jake versus Ben Askren and getting on the Triller card with Holyfield and Roy Jones are massive opportunities. And hopefully, for her sake, she doesn't talk her way out of a deal with Sky by saying something really insensitive or stupid. You know, she's burnt bridges with Eddie as well. And I think even after that, Jake said, let's put all this behind us and focus on making women's boxing get bigger. So he was kind of even leaving the door open for the possibility of working with her. You know, look how successful she was as a boxer, because she's talented, obviously, and like, she went to do MMA. Dana White didn't say, yo, why don't you come and have some fights here? She didn't get a slot on there. Why not? Because she's not endearing herself for a lot of people to even want to discuss doing business with her. And it's all right her saying in hindsight she would have never fought on them cards, but what choice would she have had? if her management and promoter did all that groundwork to get her on them cards, I don't believe that for a second that she wouldn't have fought on them cards. She's just trying to save face, really.